Okay, so hey, this video is for 12th standard HSC students who have opted for commerce. So today we are doing chapter 7 of maths part 2, that is assignment problem and sequencing, as you can see. So in this video I'll do sums. Based on that, I have bifurcated assignment problems into 6 types. I will let you know those, and sequencing into 2 types. So first let's start with assignment problem. I have my own questions, I'm not going to refer to this one. So this is my notebook and here we start. The first type, you need to write those. I've not written, I have it in my mind. So the first type is Okay, so the first type is minimization type. Don't look at the notebook, just listen to me. So in that type in exam, you will be asked to solve the minimal assignment problem. You need to just assign the given data to their respective jobs. So how you will do it is in steps. So the step 1, this is suppose this is the data. This type 1 is minimization type. If this is the data given, then you have, the first step is to subtract the row minimum from each row. You need to subtract the lowest number from each row to all the numbers given. So in the first row, as we can see, the lowest number is 1, so you need to subtract 1 from each number. So this is how we get it after subtracting each row's lowest. Here if it's 0, then we subtract 0 from 25, we get the same numbers, and that's how we get the 4. This is the first step. This is the first step actually. And the second step is to subtract the column minimum from each column, that is column reduction. You subtract column wise. Here in the first step we did it as the row reduction. Now in the second step we do it the column reduction. So for suppose here we can see the lowest number is 10, so we have to subtract each number from 10. That's how we do it, and we got each number. Yeah, you can see it. Then the third step is to we box the zeros. If we have got zeros for each row, each job assigned to the respective data given, so we get one each row. You need to get the 0. So as you can see, we have gotten the zeros. So the excess amount of zeros, if you get, you need to cancel it. Yeah, 1 second. You just need to assign each job to each column. For suppose if you are getting 3, if you are getting A assigned to 3, then here is an excess 0 which is given in column A. We remove it, we avoid it, we don't look at it, and we cancel. And here also you get another 0 in B column, but we have already assigned B to 1, so we have to cancel it, we don't consider it. So in the last column we get D as 0, that is assigned to 4. Since we have gotten each row, each this men assigned to their respective jobs, now we move to removing. We need to get the minimum value. So first you need to write, before that step you need to write each assigned. This, if this B is assigned to 1, we need to write it this way. Job 1, this is the column for jobs. Job 1 is assigned to B, job 2 is assigned to C, and whatever, like that. You need to go on and write this. I don't know if you have steps for that, but you just need to write it. Then we need to find out the minimum value, as I said. So for that is the step 4. Step 1 is to find row minimum. Step 1 is to do row reduction. Step 2 is to find column minimum. Then step 3 is to do the step to get 0 row column box and cancel it. That step is step 3. And step 4 is this minimum value we need to find. How we find minimum value is that we need to replace these zeros by the main question given, the values of zeros in the main question. So for suppose this is the last data we had after column minimum, so this 0 we replace it by 1, so you write 1 here. Then the other, the C column, if you gotten this 0, we need to substitute it here. Here we have it 0, so that's how you find it. Just replace it by the main data given, the values, and you add it to find this minimum value. This you will be given the units. I don't remember, it was given in the question. I don't know what it was, so I just directly write it. But you need to write as per the question. It has marks, it carries marks. Here also you need to write the units, it has marks. So that's how you find the minimum value. First type, easy. We'll do a couple of sums again from this type, just for this. The second sum, this is the data A, B, C. These columns are there. From this first column, this is the smallest number, we subtracted. Second column, this is the smallest number. Third column, this is the smallest number. And column wise also, these are the smallest numbers which I have underlined. So you do the row minimum, then you do the column minimum, then you find the minimum value. That's how you get it, easy. And third also, as you can see, this is the data, this is the row minimum, this is the row minimum, this is the row minimum. But if you find column minimum, you'll get these only. This we have considered 7. If you are getting 2 7 in this one row, then consider the first one, since we are going like this. So that's the logic, or whatever. No, that wait, okay, I just realized that it doesn't matter, since you are subtracting by the lowest number. So 7 is the lowest number, you subtracted, you get 0. Yeah, that's the logic. Then we'll get column wise also, these 3 fall in a line and we get 0. So same step 1, row minimum, you get this, and column minimum, if you do it on each one, you get this. Then you cancel out the excess zeros, you assign each job to the each data given one row. Then you get the minimum value by substituting. I did mistakes, don't look at these. Just substitute it in the main question given, we have it here, and you get the minimum value. So we go on to question number 4. That is this. So for this is the data given. You can just look at the question and solve it on your own. It's very easy. If you follow the steps, step 1 is row minimum. We got it. The lowest, subtracted from the lowest number given in the data. Then in rows, obviously. Then second step is column minimum. You subtract the lowest number but column wise. So we got it. Then we assign each job to the each person. Then we cancel out the excess zeros, we assign them, we write in sentences. Don't look at this, I have just followed a shortcut, but you have to write it in proper sentences. It may carry marks. So then we find the minimum value. This also, as I've said earlier, you need to replace it by the question given, the units or value. Then go to question number 3. Again, easy. Substitute in the end. Just look at the question and write it on your own. First step, row minimum. Second step, column minimum. Third step is assign and to write. Then last step, minimum value we need to find. Same the 6th question, as you can see. We did only 3 columns and 3 rows earlier, but this is now 4 columns and 4 rows. Doesn't make any change, you just need to follow the steps. First step, row reduction. Then second step, we did not do the column minimum. No, we did. Wait. No, we didn't. 1 second, let me see. Because we'll get the same numbers, that's why we didn't do the column minimum. Here in the first row we get it at 0, but in the column wise, if you see that 0 is the lowest obviously, so we don't do the column minimum because we'll get the same numbers. So yeah, that's why we didn't do the column minimum. And we directly assign it. We find the minimum C. That's how we do it. The cost is given and the rupees we need to write in like proper full form. I've written RS, but you need to write rupees, maybe, I don't know. Yeah. So next time, this is the question. You need to find row minimum. I'm showing you, just write it or solve it or etc. Then you find the column minimum, then you assign them. This is how you assign them. You find the minimum value. So this is how we do the minimal assignment, the minimization type of assignment, which is first type. Now we move on to the second type, which is prohibited assignment. In this type of assignment, you will just identify it by seeing that you have a dash or you have a hyphen given in the question. So you just see an empty entry in the question given. So for that, you don't keep it, you just keep it empty while writing it again. You need to write the data given in the question as a solution. It is a part of solution, obviously. Then you just make an infinity sign or whatever sign you find for your side. So you need to write a statement. Since whatever the data is given, that cannot be assigned to whatever the data is given again as per your question. We need to write, therefore let the corresponding entry be the sign you have chosen. I've chosen infinity, so I've written infinity. You write whatever is good for your side. And again, this is only the difference we need to make. After that, it's all same as we did earlier. Row reduction, then column reduction. You just ignore this. This is nothing. Infinity is just, it's not nothing. It's like a lot of numbers, so we ignore it. We take the smallest, this is 0, then we do the column reductions, and again we need to assign it. Since it is assigned, we get the final answer. That's not going to make a change in your question. So the next, this we get it like this. Let the missing entry be infinity, but you need to write it like I did it here. I'll just yeah, that's how you write it. Then row reduction, column reduction, you assign it, you find the minimum value. Then again, that's how you do it. Here the missing sign is over here. Yeah, row reduction, we have not done the column reduction since we get the same numbers, so we got it. That's how you do this. The only difference is the starting part. You need to replace the missing entry by your sign which you have chosen. Preferably choose infinity because that's how I've done it. You need to write the statement. That's the only difference in prohibited assignments. It's very easy. Then after that, we do unbalanced assignments. It's just that there will be unequal number of rows or columns given. That's the only difference in unbalanced assignment. As per the name, you can identify in the question. If you see the data, you will be able to notice, ignore this part, that there are only 4 columns and 5 rows. So you can see that it's not balanced. One row has to be made. You can keep it dummy, you don't have to consider it, but while solving you will need that row, column, whatever it is. So while seeing the data, you will be able to recognize it very easily, that there will be unequal number of rows and columns. So you will have to add an extra row or column with 0. The cost would be 0 since it's dummy. So the step 1, you just need to add the extra row or column which is missing in this sum. The column is missing. There are 5 rows but only 4 columns given. We need to write an extra column and make it pi equal, make it equal. Then you need to write the statement. Since number of rows is not equal to number of columns, we will introduce an imaginary, whatever the data is given, imaginary truck, and the name, this is called truck E with 0 cost. That's how we did it. And Then same steps as we have done it: row reduction, column reduction, minimization of whatever it is given the value. So we have directly jumped up to this column reduction, since if we do the row reduction you have 0, you'll get the same values again. It would be of no use to write it again. So we have directly done the column reduction, and this is how we get it. We assign it, we find the minimum value given, and then we write that since that dummy column which is there in the question, since E is an imaginary truck, terminal 4 will not receive. Here terminal 4 has received E, so we need to write that this assignment, it can't be considered. So we need to write it as a reason. Since E is an imaginary truck, terminal 4 will not receive material from any truck company. You just need to mention that it's dummy and it will not receive any material. It's just done for the sake of it. So next sum is this. As you can see, there are only 3 rows given and 4 columns given. Then we'll have to write an extra row to make it equal. First step, we make an extra row with 0. Then we write it as a statement: let us introduce imaginary operation D with 0 times 0, the value it's given in the question. You just write it. In the previous sum we did it as 0 cost, but in this sum we is doing it as time. This part is very important, the value. Then we do the row reduction and we do we have not done the column reduction since we have gotten 0. Same reason, we assign it. Same steps as minimization we do. Then since we assign it, this row D is imaginary, right? So imaginary row D is assigned to J4, so we'll need to give the reason that since D is an imaginary operator, job J4 is rejected, it cannot be considered. Then in next sum, in this, the 4th column we have added, since only 3 columns given, so we write it number of rows is not equal to number of columns, since therefore we have to introduce the 4th column to make it equal. Then we do the row reduction. If we do the row reduction, we'll get the same value, so we don't write, we directly do the column reduction. You just have to keep that in your mind before writing it. So we assign it, then we find the minimum value, and this is that type. Now till now we have done 3 types. Now let's jump to, so it was just same, this unbalanced assignment was same as previous, just the difference is that you have to balance it by adding the dummy row or column which is missing in the question, and you have to give the reasons properly. And in the end also you need to mention that dummy row, if it's assigned to a given proper this job or whatever is given in the question data, you need to mention that it cannot be considered, it's rejected or something like that. Yeah. Then these are the 3 types we did. First type we did was minimization, second we did prohibited assignment, third we did unbalanced. Now 4th, let's jump up to multiple optimal solution, multiple optimal assignment, whatever you can say. So in this it will be as same as the first type, but the difference is gonna be that you will get 2 cases. So just treat it as first type. As you can see, everything is, this is equal, the rows are equal, the columns are equal to the rows given, so this can't be unbalanced. Third type, it can't be the third type. Second type we did was prohibited assignment, where we could see a missing entry but you don't have any missing entry here, so this can't be a second type. So we'll treat this as the first type, which is minimization assignment, which is the main assignment. So first we do the row minimum, then we do the column minimum. Then after doing the column minimum, you will get boxes like these. As you can see, it's diagonally given, right? You can see 2 zeros which are diagonal, you can see other 2 zeros which are diagonal. So in this we have to solve 2 cases. I've cancelled these, but I think you need to consider those. Yes, you will actually get 4 zeros. Just the 2 zeros you'll get, that is for sure, but the other you'll get 4 zeros in a square, you can see. But you need to consider 2 zeros diagonally twice. So that's why we solve it in 2 cases. You need to consider all the possibilities as it's given. So the first case, as you can see, there are 2 zeros over here, so we'll have to consider those 2 but later. But in case 1, we are taking these 2 zeros, these 2, so it's assigned already. So we have assigned these. The first we have assigned to A, second we have assigned to B, third as given. Then we do the minimum value, we get it as 16 units. And in case 2, as you can see, we have taken these 2 zeros instead of these 2 zeros. So that's why we call it diagonal. You get 4 zeros in proper diagonal, manner. So we have taken, the only part you can see which is common in this is that you'll get the, no matter how you solve it, if you take the diagonal, you'll get the same units, it will be equal. So you solved it by taking diagonally, you got it assigned, then you get the last answer, main answer, equal 16 units, 16 units. Got it. Now let's go to the next sum. This is 15th sum. The data over here is A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows are equal, columns are equal, can't be unbalanced assignment, then no missing entry, can't be second assignment, second type of assignment. So this is first type. Or while solving, you'll see row minimum got it, column minimum got it, but after doing column minimum you are getting 4 zeros. So by seeing those 4 zeros, you can figure out that it is the fourth type of assignment, which is multiple optimum assignment. So just the differences, you'll have to solve it by 2 cases. You need to consider these zeros first, these zeros diagonally, then in second case you need to consider these zeros diagonally. That's how you solve it. Yes, you'll get the last answer same. Yeah, 15 units, 15 units. Very easy. Okay, so this is not the last type, this is the 5th type of assignment, is maximization assignment. In this is going to be separate from the previous 4 types we did. In this assignment, in the name, as you can see, maximization, we need, the step 1 is going to be that we need to subtract each element from the data by the maximum number present in the data. So in this you can see the maximum number present is 600. Nothing is bigger than 600 over here, so we need to subtract each element from the maximum number, which is 600. After doing that, you will get this data. Then you need to do the column minimum, but you can do the row minimum as well if you get the same value. After that, you need to do the row minimum, then the column minimum. You get it, and you find the maximum profit, not the minimum value. Over here it's the maximum value, then you write it. Yeah, that's about it. Only the first 2 steps are important, which is to find the maximum value, which is to find the maximum number, and we subtract it from each element. Then we assign it properly and we find the maximum profit. Those steps are important. That's about it for the maximum objective. This is the data given. We subtract it from the maximum value. You do the row minimum. I've not done the column minimum because you'll get the 0 itself. So it's as same. Then over here, as you can see, this is the main question. You subtracted it from maximum number. You did the row minimum. Then you found the value. Now the last type 6. I'll show you all the steps I've written, that you can see in the end. I've written all the steps properly defined, but I'll show that in the end. So let's get into the last type, which is type 6. This does not have a name. This type is just a special type. It's kind of a continuation of this. In this type, you'll just notice that the optimum solution, it is not obtained in the first attempt. So you'll treat it as type 1 in the beginning. Do the row minimum, do the column minimum. Then you see that you will not get. So you'll just notice that you don't get each 0 assigned to the respective job. As you can see, B is assigned, then A is assigned, but in third you'll get 2 zeros in which you'll get confused to assign. But even if you consider C as third, D you won't get it. But if you consider D as third, C you won't get it, since there is just 2 zeros, but you don't get it. So fourth we got. So if you don't get each column or each row assigned, then that you just figure out that the optimum solution is not attempted in the first. It's not obtained in the first attempt. So for this, the step 1 is to make lines to just cover the zeros. So in this you will get zeros. Step 1 is to draw the minimum number of lines, as you can see over here. I'm sorry if I'm taking breaks. Yeah, so the step 1 is to draw the minimum number of lines to cover all the zeros. So if in this first only 1 0 is given, but in first column 2 zeros are given, draw the column line, then draw the row line. Then as you can see, the only zeros left are over here, then you draw the row line. You can see the lines are drawn. The lines are drawn. So we can figure out that this is the one line, this is the second line, this is the third line. 3 lines are there, but the rows and the columns are 4. Hence, since the number of lines are less than order of matrix, optimum solution is not obtained. This is how you give the reason. This is just for understanding. This is how you give the reason for maths. Yes. So we did that, we saw that. Then to do the further part, you have these steps. This is for understanding, you don't write it. So this part you need to write. So then you, after that, since you have figured the proper lines, you can notice that the number of lines is less than the number of this columns or rows. Then you understand that it's type 6, it's a special type. For that, these are the 3 special steps you need to do to find the answer for the assignment. Step 1, as you can see, is to figure out the smallest number which is not on the lines. So the smallest number which we can see is not on the line is 2. Here you can see 2. So that small number, we need to subtract it from the numbers which is not on the lines. We need to subtract 2 from numbers which are not falling on the lines. So you just write it in rough with a pencil. Then after solving, you need to erase it, since we don't present that in the exam. So we do that, and third step is to add that number on the intersection of the lines. The intersection, as you can see, the two lines are meeting over here and over here, so you need to add 2 over here. So it's very easy. First you do, after I'm revising it again. First you do the column reduction. First you need to do the row reduction or the column reduction. Then you need to see if the circles are getting assigned. As we couldn't get these two assigned, we drew the lines. Then we got to know that the lines are less than the order of the matrix, that is the 3 lines we get, but the order is 4. So we know now, we are sure that this is the 6th type. Now to solve it further, we need to figure out the smallest number which is not on the lines. Then we subtract it from numbers which are not on the lines. But then as the third step, we add it to the numbers which are falling on the intersection of the lines. Very important, not to these but to the intersection of the lines. So we add 2 over here, subtract 2 over here, then we write this again properly after subtraction addition. So this is that I got, and then you will get it properly assigned. Then you need to do it at that minimum value, and yeah, that's how you got it. So this is the next sum. This is the data. Then you get the row reduction, you do the column reduction, then you do the same steps as I told you earlier. First draw the lines covering all the zeros, then you sign it. You figure out the lowest number, you subtract it, you add it, you write it again, you assign it. That's how you get it. This is the last type, and yeah, that is kind of how it was. This is the sum. You can see the question and you can try to write it on your own further. It's very easy. I may have not written the lines or reasons properly, but you just need to write it on your own self. It's flexible. I'll show you a few more sums, but it's all mixed. But just see to the question and solve accordingly. I'll show you the sums. One second. Yeah, this is that. This is the question. This is exercise A, which is type 1 basically. Row reduction. This is the easiest type. On this type is based all the other types. Just look at the question, solve it further on your own. Very easy. Very scoring. You can even pause the video. I'm taking it quick, but you can pause and solve. I'm showing you the answers too, but if you're practicing, just look at the question and solve it on your own. you'll get these type of questions too. The two types, we have done all 6 types, but in few sums you'll get 2 or 3 types at once. They'll give you unbalanced as well as the maximization at once. So this is that type of sum. The rows and columns are unequal, but they have told you to solve it through maximization too, so it's not going to be tough, but you just need to remember the steps. It's all about knowing the steps. Oh, this is no, oh shit. Yeah, this part you need to see. This is sequencing part, which we will do now. Okay, so in sequencing, there are 2 subtopics. Not subtopics, but I've bifurcated sequencing into 2 parts, which is, in the question you will be given 2 rows, and the second part you will be given 3 rows. So when you have gotten 2 rows, the first step is to make one line table in which you need to figure out the smallest number from here, and then you give it to the respective box or row. If m1 and m2 is given, make a one line table, write m1 m2 and figure out the smallest number from the data given. This is the 1 is the smallest, so f, this belongs to m2 of f, so m2 we have it here, we write it f. And the next number, the next smallest we can see is 2, which is t, falls in m1, so write m1 and m1 we write t, but we have written b. Maybe because this comes first, we have chosen b first, then we write d, but it doesn't matter if you write it that wise. Just because b comes first, we have written b, but you can write that way too. So then after b and d, we get the next smallest number is 3, which is c, which falls in m1, then we write c over here. Then the smallest number we can see is 4, from here 4 is here, so we write it in m2, but you can see 4, you just you assign it accordingly, you just have to put properly in the box. 1 second. First is 1, it falls in m2, we write it over here. Second smallest, as we can see, we'll start from left to right, okay? Second smallest we can see is 2, which is b, which falls in m1, we write it over here. Third smallest is only b, so we write it over here, this d. Then we can see after 2 we can see the smallest is 3, which is over here, c, which falls in m1, therefore we write c over here. Then we can see 3 over here, e, which falls in m2, that's why we write, okay, we need to go according to the numbers. If 3 is being repeated and falls under the m2, then we have to write m2 first. After 3, as we can see, 4 is here, which falls in m2, so we write a. You can write g2, it doesn't matter if you write e or g or g2e, it's just as same. Then after that you need to make 1 2 3 4 5 columns to solve. So the one line table which you have done over here, you need to write it as jots, then accordingly we need to solve it. After doing the one line table, we write m1 M2, and we write the time in and time out over here, time in and time out with this first the first step was to make the one line table. The second step is to write this table down, write the data. The first thing we do over here is to write b time in as 0 to start, because b, just for the beginning we write b as 0. Then for the timeout we look at b's value. B's value over here for m1 is 2, so 0 if added to 2 gives 2, so we carry it down over here for d. Then for d we look at the value. D falls in m1 d, you can see over here 2, so we add this 2 plus that 2, you get 4, so 4 goes down here, we add that number next. That's how you get total 30. You just need to box it over here. I have not boxed it, but you can just make a box with pencil. Over here also you can do that. So then we move to this m2. For time in m2 you need to carry the previous box's time out, so you carry it over here. Then time out for m2, b you need to check. If you check b's part for m2, you can see it's 6, so 6 plus 2 is 8 we carry down. You need to just check for a special point, that when you carry down the number, you need to check that it should be equal to or more than the number which is in the previous column, that is m1's time out. You just need to make sure that the value we carry down over here has to be more than or equal to of that last column. So over here it's all fine till here. This is 20, no, this over here 25. Over here it's given 26, but we had the number 25 to carry, so we blindly write 26 over here. Just make a line for your then in that line just write 1, since we have added 1, since we have taken 1 unit extra blindly, so you need to add 1. Then 26, we look east column, we get east column falls in m2, and we get, wait a minute, east column for m2 we get 3, so we add 3 to 26, we get 29, but over here it's 30, so we have to add 1 more, so we draw a line 1 plus 1, we have it. Just remember to draw a 1. So you need to box this too. This is going to the last. Now this step has been done. You got all the numbers over here, data is done. Now we find the total elapsed time, then you find the idle time, then you find idle time for both m1 and m2. So total elapsed time, you need to get it, but you'll get it in the last column of the last row. As we can see over here, 31 is the total elapsed time. You can see in the bottom right corner in the last row, in the last column. That's how you get that. Then idle time for m1, you need to get the m1 idle time, you need to subtract this to the total elapsed time, which is over here 31. You subtract 31 and you, no, 1 second, I'm so sorry, you subtract this last time out to 31. Ignore that part, just don't consider it. Now I'm telling you to subtract this to this, the last bottom corner of M1 you subtracted the time out last answer of M1 you subtracted by time out M2 last right corner, you get 1. That is going to be the idle time for M1. This is, if we don't consider this is going to be the last answer. So this you need to subtract to the other column last answer, you'll get 1. Remember, it's like that. Then for M2 it's going to be a little complicated, since the 2 we have taken over here has to be considered, then the 1 and 2 we have taken extra lines, that has to be considered. So this 2 plus 1 plus 1 2 plus 2 is going to be 4. So idle time for M2 is going to be 4. It's not complicated at all, I just said it. So yeah, that's this. We did 3 steps in total. Like first we made the 1 line column, second step we made the table, and third step we found this total last time idle time. So yeah, 3 steps we solved this. Now next you do it by the same way. Just look at it, 2 rows are given. So this is the type 1 where 2 rows are given, you find the smallest number, you assign it properly in 1 line table, then you make this, you make the proper changes, then you write total last time as 30. Do not forget to write the units. In the question it's given hours, so we write the hours. Yeah, that's how we do it. Then idle time we found it by subtracting 2, so we got 2. For M2 we found it 1 and 1 3 we got. Yeah, easy. Just look at the question and write it on your own. It's very easy. This is just the units, as you can see, just the units. Don't take it like something difficult or anything. I think you need to write policy over here since it's the heading, but it's fine. Yeah, I'll show you a few more sums based on this type, so you can just practice it. Yeah, these are those sums. Actually started from here. This is the question. You make the 1 line table, you do the main table, you find the total last time, you find the idle time. Next question, then you find this. I've written it in short forms, but you have to write it in full form since it carries marks. I might have missed this, but you can solve it now. I think I've not. No, yeah, I've done. Okay, so I think that no, 1 second. These are the continued sums. Again, I might have missed it, so you can write it again. Not again, you can just write it. I've not solved this completely, but just solve it. Yeah, that I've not solved the sequence in second type fully. I guess these were the only sums for sequencing. Yeah, I've showed you earlier. So yes, this was all about the first type. Yes, this was all about the first type. Now we go to the second type. And in the second type, the only difference is that they're going to be given 3 rows of jobs. For 3 rows you need to find. So for that, step 1 has to be that you need to find the it has to be the first minimum. You'll have to take first as minimum, second as maximum, third as minimum. Then the minimum of first has to be more than or equal to the second maximum. So just remember it as a formula that minimum of first has to be more than or equal to the maximum of second. So whenever there are 3 rows given, first we write the minimum first value, the minimum number. Over here in this first row is 5, then maximum of second. In this also we can see 5. So the condition is satisfied, as we can see the minimum is more than, it is equal to the maximum value. Third is usually not really, we don't bother about it. So as statement we write minimum of first is more than or equal to the maximum of second. This the condition is satisfied. So we will introduce 2 imaginary lines of machines M4 and M5. So now M4 and M5, we need to make 2 more columns in this, and in this M4 will be written as the combination of M1 and M2, and M5 will be written as the combination of M2 and M3. Since this is odd, we'll have to make it even by adding. So for this we make 2 separate columns. Then for M4 we add the first and second. The first and second, 6 plus 4 we write 10. For 7 plus 3 we write 10. That's how we do M4. And for M5 we write the addition of second and third column, third row, I'm so sorry, second and third column, row, whatever. It should be the addition of second and third. You got the 2 columns of M4 and M5. Then you need to make the 1-line table of M4 and M5. In the previous sums, as we have done it, it's very normal. Find the smallest number over here, which is 6. 6 belongs to M4. Write T in M4. That's how you do it. We have done it in the previous sums. Then since here 3 machines are given, we need to make 3 huge columns for M1, M2 and M3. Then we write time in, time out, time in, time out. This part, just see, as we can see, it's going to be similar as the previous sums we did, but this part is just new. It's not even new, it's same as the only difference is you need to carry 6 over here, just like we did in the previous sums. Carry it. Then just make sure that while carrying down the number, it should be more than or equal to this number, to the previous column number, which is timeout. It should be just more than or equal to. If it's not, then you have to blindly write that given number and make a line and subtract it to the number which you have carried down over here, which is there, and just write the unit. So while doing the main answer, while doing the idle time, you'll know how much units you need to take. So for total last time, you write the last column, last bottom answer. And for idle, spiral time you got it by adding those numbers. Yeah, that's very much how you do it. Very easy. When you see 3 columns, you make sure that the first and second is equal to or greater than. Most of the time it will be, all the time it will be, the condition will get satisfied. We just need to write it properly. So we introduce 2 more columns, which is M4 and M5. Then we make the one line table, we add it. That's pretty much about it. Yeah, these are the extra sums. I will share the steps of these, but yeah, these are basically about it. Only few. Yeah, that's it, I guess. Do we have more? Yeah, we have more. That's it. So that's it for this chapter. If you like the video, just drop a like, comment whatever your suggestions is for the next chapter or for any chapter you want, and yeah, subscribe to my channel. I'll share the steps for all this we have done, which I've orally said it, but I've written it, and I'll show you those steps in the next video. I'll make a short video explaining with the steps. Yeah, that's it. Bye.